Let's start at the beginning of a cycle. Day one of your period, your bleed, your moon time, your inner winter. I love the metaphor of in order to shoot a bow and arrow, you first have to draw back the string all the way back with focus and intention and aim true and then let go. And then it goes straight at the target. And this, just like many other metaphors of a seed going in the ground, creating roots, and then flowering up, is a metaphor for the cycle. This time, it's about days 1 to 4, or even days like 27 to day 3, or something like that. Your inner winter is a time when you have the deepest retreat into yourself. This is the time to let go of any distraction that you can possibly let go of and really give as much time as you can to your inner voice and your inner wisdom, which 100% undoubtedly will emerge and talk to you and guide you in this time if you have the space and silence to listen. Silence here is a key word. Stop the outside voices, the things coming in, the consumption. It's time to retreat in solitude and really be with existence. Be with yourself. Be in a rest. Whether you're lying down or sleeping or journaling or doing art, try to do things that are not distracting you from what could be emerging. This is not the time to avoid. Your inner winter and your inner autumn, which came before, are the times where you really meet yourself and confront yourself. So, in your inner winter, you are rooting deep into the ground, into your body, and a lot of time it can be this sort of sense of loss of control over my mind. My brain is not working like it is when I'm at full capacity. And a lot of times I can experience at least one day of my period when I literally feel like I'm having a psychedelic experience, a sort of bliss, if you will. And now the welcoming of the bleed is absolutely can be a relief, because the last days of the luteal phase, or still, it depends how you frame it. It can be the beginning of the winter, which is not yet your bleed, or it can be the last days of your luteal, depending on how you put the days of the cycle. Depending on how, where you place the seasons on the days. Yeah, it can really be like this relief of all those intense emotions of the previous phase can now, I'm actually now in the process of letting go of it. Because every single phase builds on the one before that. And so if you fully feel what has to be felt and confront in your luteal phase, really notice the themes that come up, you bring that with you into your bleeding phase, and you can really let go and be reborn into the new cycle with new intentions and so on. But when you're in the bleed itself, let go. Let go, and if there's intuitions and invitations for things that you want to do during this time, allow that and do that. but there's no need to be productive just for the sake of being productive or being normal in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I believe that if every woman embraced her deep, deep rest and call to wisdom and her inner voice and just rooting down deep into herself, I think this would majorly, majorly benefit society because of the amount of, you can have a whole restart for yourself. The amount of stories, narratives, beliefs that you can break down, confront, be with, reflect on, and start again. This is the opportunity to do that. And also the rest, even just at a physical level, you need rest. You need time in the month when you just do nothing. Yeah. So this is like the liminal space where you can feel like you access different dimensions of knowing. The ego death, the loss of who you were in the last cycle, and rebirthing for the new you, the new cycle. It's interesting that the death and rebirth and the bleeding is on day one instead of like the last days. So I guess it really depends, because like, where is the start of the cycle? In all cyclical living, there's no start or end. It just keeps happening. And so, yeah. So this is the silence, the retreat, the hibernation, the invitation of death. This is the deepest descent into the self, the most inward state that you can be. The archetypes of the crone, the elder, the death goddess, embracing what it's like to let go fully and divinely surrender to what's meant to be for you in your relaxation, in your beingness. And really giving yourself all the love that you need, like filling yourself with the love that you give to the outside world and to others when you are in your ascended energy, your outward energy. Because the cycle is the follicular phase and the ovulation phase. Those are the ascending energy, ovulation being the most outward focused. And then luteal and the menstrual are descending energy, menstrual being the most descended. And so this is like the via positiva, so positive outward energy, and then negativa, inward, sort of negative energy, because we imagine it like neutral. Okay, yeah, I'm indicating ovulation is there because I put day one is menstrual, but if we imagine this being the ground, so menstrual, rooting down into the ground, follicular, starting to bloom, ovulation, full bloom, luteal, decaying, going inward, and then dying, and then rooting deep into the ground, transformation, and then coming back up again for new life. Yes, so if there's anything that cyclical living allows us to be with, is the truth of that there is so much unknown. And this is what I wanted to highlight actually with what I was trying to previously say with the mentioning of the capitalism death cult, is that we humans, at least in modernity, are so egocentric in that we control and dominate Earth and others. But if we allowed ourselves the humility of change, of surrender, of equality, of death, of knowing that everything is unknown, reality, what even is it? 99.999% of atoms of everything is just empty space. So what is reality? And not to mention that we are limited by our sensory perception, and every being on this planet has different sensory perceptions. So even compared to all the things that are living, we have a very small percent of what we can even see, feel, touch, hear, taste. And so if we could be humble and know that we know nothing, and yet we are creators. So this humility and love and appreciation for life, and the fact that like we honor life. I don't understand it. I don't know it, but I'm grateful to be here, and let's enjoy being here. Let's cherish it. Like this attitude towards life, this wholeness, this interbeing, this community is the foundation of cyclical living, the philosophy behind cyclical living. And this is the foundation of a healthy culture that is life and death affirming, accepting of all of it, of wholeness. Because health is wholeness, is ascension and descension as well, descending as well. Because it's not healthy, right? It's a cancerous growth if it's just always growing. And how fitting that the light is just like splitting half light, half dark, because it's illustrating this point so perfectly. Yeah, I'm so passionate about this topic because we get to embrace the imperfection that we are, and the poetic depths and expanse of what we are and can be. And also the fact that all of us have this and yet have completely unique experiences of this based on our own life path and our soul's journey. Anyway, let's get back into it. So the next step is the follicular phase. And so this is the gradual ascending of energy going outward again. And there can definitely be this sort of almost wanting to immediately go back into normal or like ovulatory sort of state of being, because you feel this energy enlivened in you once more. However, the wisdom of this season is inviting you to be gentle with yourself, like a bud. And with this increase of life force energy and this horniness, sexuality, fertility, creativity, playfulness, it's remember to set intentions for how you want, where you want to direct this life force energy, this creative energy, this sexual energy. How can you do yourself the honor of directing that energy toward what will replenish you, fulfill you, make you feel happy and good about yourself, align with your values, your North Star, your vision, etc. And this is why the dark half of the cycle, the descending luteal and menstrual phase, are so important to fully be in, because in that phase you will become so aware of what is not working in your life. And therefore, in your follicular phase, you can make really powerful and gentle and just focused intentions for the new foundation that you want to build in your life in this new cycle. So the energy is youthful, it's playful, it's this sort of maiden energy of, oh, I'm free again, or you know, what do I want to do with my energy? And it's this air element. And it's just embrace that love, that playfulness, and also knowing yourself like, yes, and I'm using this energy for the good of my mission, for what I want. And because, of course, you can use your energy in unconscious ways to fulfill your needs. For example, in your follicular or ovulation phase, you can have a lot of flirtatious sexual energy, and this can be spent in getting external validation and attention and relating to other people. And then in luteal phase, you realize that you just spent all of that energy on others, not really working on yourself, replenishing yourself. This is what I mean to say of like be aware, be conscious of where you're putting your energy. Always, anyway. And this doesn't mean being perfect. This means just intentional living is incredibly, incredibly powerful by making declarations and claims of what you want to do with your energy, what you want to receive and do and create. This really helps to align you, and you're basically telling the world, abracadabra, I create as I speak. You are a magician in your own right, an artist, a creator of your life, the character of your book. What you say out loud are the words on the page, defining what, leading to the next sentence and the next sentence, and everything you do is another sentence in the book. Damn, oh my God, what am I saying? So many things. So, the follicular phase, sacred beginnings, cherish yourself, honor yourself, build the foundations. You're starting the path again of your new cycle, increasing your life force, explore new ideas. Yeah, make your plans. And also zooming outwards, when you understand all of the different phases, you can plan your life and your like to-do lists based on when you know you're going to be in each phase. Even like zooming outwards on the moon phases, the 4 seasons, astrological seasons, even the day, the 24-hour cycle, you can see, you can make plans and intentions. Okay, in the winter, I want to make sure I do this, 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 this. In the spring, this, 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 this. And you're just aware of it. In my follicular phase, I am going to do this, 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 this. Ovulation, this, this, this. Luteal, etc., creating some kind of care package for yourself or a way of really making sure that you honor your own energy, your natural flow of energy during your cycle. And this can be different for everyone, but I also think there's a whole lot more in common than we think. Yeah. Because I think the energetic signatures of the seasons are universal. Even if they impact us if they can impact us uniquely. So, continuing ascending, outward focused energy, we're a lot less spiritual and self-reflective and a lot more extrovert, creative, but in colorful, expressive ways, and sexual in outward ways. So your inner summer, your ovulation, this is the highest peak of your energy during the cycle. So take advantage of it. Feet on the ground, stay grounded. I choose to use my energy for XYZ. Intentionality. Embrace your full expression. Go beyond your comfort zone. This is your growth, and you have the confidence to do this. Make new social bonds, go on dates, community gatherings, plan your things here. It's okay if your days are a little bit more full than other days of the cycle, because you most likely have much more capacity to handle the intensity during this phase, of course, with intentionality. So, radiance, inviting you to be fully yourself and be radiant in your expression, your soul's gift to the world, your message to the world. Can you fully embody that? You're shining like the sun, you're blooming like the flower. You are peak fertility. Imagine you're pregnant with ideas, with creative flow. You are like a mother goddess, an empress, ruling over her land, her kingdom, her own life, fully sovereign, beautiful, capable of everything that you want. Here you are queen of life, in opposition to menstrual cycle, queen of death, queen of your underworld, queen of your inner realms. Here you are queen of your outer realms. Perfectly imperfect, of course, but claim it, claim that energy. So this is where you are active, of course, building on the actions of the foundations from your follicular phase. You're really on the center stage of your life right now. You're making it happen, launching it, doing this, going there, meeting the, like, doing it for your flowering, for your creative ideas. Only you know how you can wisely spend the energy that you have during this phase. And then we have the luteal phase and a slow, gradual descending energy. And of course, in the cycle, we're going to have these transition days in which we feel like, okay, I feel that I'm moving into the new season now. Like, I just feel it. It can be day 17, it can be day 6, whatever. Like that you feel, okay, like I'm done with my spring right now. I'm done with my summer. I'm in the new realm, in the new chapter, in the new season. And every single season is adding to your wholeness, your full expression of yourself, owning all your light, all your shadow, your ugliness and your beauty, your independence and your dependence on others, your introversion and your extroversion, your self-love and your love for others and the outside, all of that. And so your energy is gradually descending. And in all of our cycles, luteal is actually the longest phase because the 4 seasons are not equal in length if you look at it hormonally. Actually, technically, your inner summer is the shortest time, as well as your menstrual. And you can see that the spring and your autumn are like the liminal spaces between the fullest expression or the highest high and the lowest low. And so like magic happens in all of those seasons. I don't even know what I was gonna really say. I just kept talking and I know what I said was interesting. Good. Yeah, luteal phase is the longest phase, and a lot of times it can be, generally speaking, the most difficult phase. As I mentioned before, there's this sort of relief that comes when the bleed actually comes, even though with a lot of women there's huge discomfort with bleeding and pain, but not for everyone. And in terms of sort of emotions and self-image, insecurities, and like triggers, this comes up during the luteal phase. So the key phrase here is face yourself, confront yourself, be with what is coming up. And it's really great to have a embodiment practice and or also meditation practice, like something that really connects you with yourself. Maybe it's a daily journaling practice, like the morning pages from The Artist's Way. But something that allows you to come home to yourself saying, hey, no matter what comes up today, whatever thoughts, beliefs, insecurities, I am here. I can hold it. I can hold everything. I accept myself. I am whole. I have shadow and light. I have insecurity and I have confidence. I have all of those things and I can be with myself. There is so much to say on this season because when we live in a death-denying culture, and a shadow-denying culture, a truth and discernment-denying culture, because unfortunately, the culture, the system is based on lies, because otherwise, how would anyone condone the fact that it's a death machine, a death cult, unless we were all brainwashed into thinking that it's the way to be? When we repress this part of ourselves, then we see the luteal phase as like a devil, a monster, something that is wrong, but it's not. It is medicine. In fact, it can actually be, in a way, the most fruitful, which is funny because in the life cycle, it would be the fruit after the flower, part of your cycle, where you really reap and harvest what came from the previous seasons. And you're making this into wine and medicine and drinking it, and really you are using the sword of truth to really discern in your life what is working for your highest good and highest love. This is the time when a woman can be the most angry, empathetic, sensitive, and this is medicine for the world, because this is your inner warrior. The balancer of injustice in the world is awakened, and you're questioning things, and you're not going to stand for senseless violence and systems of oppression when the life force within you is just so against it, revolutioning against it, revolting against it. This is the life force energy, this like mother bear energy that's like awakened. Like, fuck no. I'm not standing for that shit. This is the energy of, I'm not taking your shit. Fuck you. I'm not a people pleaser anymore. Which can be very much so in like the spring and summer, because it's when your social self is really out and you can be conforming quite a lot. But with inward descending energy, you're a lot less reliant on other people's opinions, because your focus is just not there anymore. It's automatically directed more into yourself. And here, when you have insecurities that come up, you question, why do I have this insecurity? Is there a truth underneath? Is there a longing underneath that? What need wants to be fulfilled? How can I fulfill my needs? What do I need right now? How can I hold myself? How can I nourish myself during this time? What is my body telling me to let go of? What is my soul asking me to let go of and leave behind? I think particularly in this time and in the bleeding time, your body will know, especially if you're in like an intimate relationship, partnership with a lover, if that person is good for you or not. You might experience a very long period, or you maybe don't experience it regularly, or you will feel if something is off. Your body, your cyclical intelligence can tell you a lot if you're willing to listen with discernment, with intuition. Not just putting like, this means this. No, that's mental. That's mental. Like, you know. There's an inner knowing that is developed when you live cyclically, when you live intuitively, when you trust the wisdom of your body. Sometimes you need several cycles, spirals, seasons of life, many months, years to go through patterns, and that's a normal thing. You might revisit the same thing over and over. This is a very normal thing until you really integrate the lesson of it and move through it. And the luteal phase confronts you with that. This is a time to let go. Your Kali, your Lilith, your Athena, the inner queen and the high priestess. This is when you say no to the outside world, no to what longer serves you, what you no longer need, and say yes to yourself. So in the via positiva, you're saying yes to the outside world, yes to your expressions going outside of yourself. And this, and in your via negativa, going inwards, descending, you're saying no to the outside world and fully yes to yourself. You're always saying yes and no. You're always saying yes to yourself and no to things that you don't like, but here the energy is just a lot more pronounced. You could also say that in the summer it's like full yes to myself, like yes to my mission, yes to everything. So full yes and full no, basically, if you would like look at it like that. But there's so much more nuance to that, and I also don't want to generalize everything and make it like this is the rule. Yes, so this is a time where your sense of justice, your values, your morality, your need to correct injustices is at an all-time high. Your sensitivity is very much there. And this can be demonized. And you know, you've experienced it. Your sensitivity can be demonized. But you know what wisdom, what truth is underneath that sensitivity. You know that it is you being a warrior, protecting life. You are a life, protecting life, feeling together with life, knowing that feeling is the most important thing. Empathy is the most important thing. Zooming all the way out, feeling emotion is the language that manifests reality, manifests things in the reality. If you believe in the law of attraction, etc., it's the feeling of being that, the feeling of the belief, the feeling of that, having those things, being that in the present moment, and that attracts. If we could feel the pain of the world, the pain and suffering of certain beings in certain situations, we would have to change as a society. We need to feel again. And the only way out is through. The only way to heal is to go through the emotion, through the pain, through the trauma. Feel it, accept it, integrate it, whole. You're whole. There's nothing to suppress, to repress. Breathe into it. Breathe into it, into yourself, into the things you're repressing in yourself. And notice, what are you reacting to outside and inside yourself? And what does this say about you, what you believe, what you value? And I'm not saying that you cannot do this in any other part of your cycle. It's just that you will naturally be more sensitive during this phase. So, empathy, sensitivity, this mother, angry grizzly bear protection energy that we need. We need this energy. We so much need this energy. So don't distract it away. Don't avoid it. Be with it. Because this, you could even say that this is like the most powerful part of the entire cycle. It really depends, because that's obviously very contextual to the culture, environment that you are in, and your lifestyle, and what you need, and what you see out in the world as the issues. Obviously. And so this is the divine transformation, the letting go of everything that does not matter to you, that is not serving you, not nourishing you. But generally, as you go deeper, descending deeper into the luteal phase, you're letting go of the outside world, saying goodbye to the outside world and going into your inner cave. You're making your nest. You're cleaning your space so that you don't have to worry about it during your bleed, Maybe you're stocking up on food, snacks, creating your care package for when you're bleeding so that you don't have to worry, and basically taking care of like the nitty-gritty details. This is a really good time for focused, deep work, like finishing things up. Like you can do longer focused things, more solitary work. Also, a lot of times very creative. Also, in the bleeding, it can be a very artistic time because you have space and time to be with yourself and you want to be with yourself. And so it's a natural moment to start painting or making music if you normally don't really do that in your other phases. So the key word of the luteal phase is discernment. And I think the magic is in the details and in the noticing. And then we go finally to the bottom of the descent, to the bleed. And it's like, no more noticing things. Well, obviously I'm still noticing things, but I can like fully let go. My energy just wants to let go. I just want to rest and lie down. And with all of that said, is like, don't force anything in each cycle. If your luteal phase is actually really chill and fine, just be in that. Be where you are at. Don't force yourself to go super into your insecurities, whatever. No, like this is basically invitations for the archetypes of these seasons, that like don't be scared of the depths and the difficulties that can arise, but also no pressure to be your fullest radiant self in your summer season. It's all an invitation. What cyclical living invites you to do is to be in tune with your own body, with your wisdom, with what invitation is coming from within. That is more important than anything that any outside source could ever tell you. You hold all the wisdom and the knowing inside of your own body. And this is actually the first thing that I should put in the video. The principles of cyclical living. It's about you, about your embodiment, your journey. And know that when you start increasing your capacity to really be with yourself, and in different moments of your life, your cycle will feel different and be more intense, more heavy, more light, more loving. It depends. Also depends if you're around loving people, a community. If you're doing things that fulfill you, things will feel easier depending on the context. And regardless of that, you will still experience the cycle of death and rebirth. It just doesn't necessarily feel that intense all the time. But also, it also doesn't feel that intense if you avoid feeling. So what if you fully were present in the now, in your body, in yourself, and knowing that you are a cyclical being? Even just knowing that and being aware of that, I wonder how much you would notice about your emotions and your moods and your shifts and like the things that you want to do in different phases, and your sexual energy and so on, creative energy, inward energy. And I wonder if tracking this over a period of time, maybe a few months, a year, if you could see trends in that. So maybe I'm wrong, but then prove me wrong by tracking it in yourself when you really feel it. And because all these cycles are layered on top of each other, right? As I said, inner summer is like outer summer, like the full moon, like Leo season. There's the correspondences across all of the cycles that are happening. Inner, outer, more cosmic. So when you're bleeding in the summertime, it could be a just different feeling, a different context. Hormonally, still the same thing is happening, but the whole context of it is different. You'll never have the same day and cycle twice, because cosmically and in your own life journey, everything is always changing. Changing is the only constant. So no cycle will be the exact same. However, the overarching energetic signatures will most likely remain fairly constant, albeit not as intense, as I said before. So that's what I gotta say now. I'm really happy I did this little video. Little, it's not little. This is so important. If I knew this when I was younger, I think it would have empowered me so much to lean into my sadness, into my darkness, into my emotions. Because for a long time, I didn't allow myself to be emotional, sensitive, sad, because I didn't have someone to emotionally care for me when I was younger in the way that I needed. And I had to do that myself, and it was, of course, then easier to avoid it and just be positive. And if I knew that being human is to be whole, is to integrate shadows, is to accept all of it, is ascending and descending, is sadness, is happiness, and the only way out is through, I think I would have so much more of a strong relationship with myself starting from an earlier age. And knowing that every age of woman has its gifts. That we are not our most prized, best self as women in our spring years and summer years, just because we are most radiant, fertile. That every single season, every age has this gift. Because you can look at cyclical living also with the ages, with the lifetimes. That at our peak, like that this sort of youthful maiden-like energy is seen as like that's how women should be, but it's infantilizing, it's codependency, it's not healthy, it doesn't celebrate the strength and wholeness of women. It's so one-dimensional. And when we can fully see everyone, that men, women, all people have this ugliness, this beauty and this strength and this sensitivity, we can start seeing all of us as whole humans and not just men, women, trans, gay, this like, and categorizing. That I've met men in my life who have really redefined how I think of men, because they were not being like a man is. Like, of course, they were outwardly very much male in appearance, but, and it's so weird for me to say this, but I guess everyone has this realization at some point that he's just a human. He's a human. And in some ways, he can have more receptive or sensitive energy than me, and in different times. And the important thing is can you really be in your natural energy? You don't have to worry about other people's. You cannot control other people. You cannot define if someone is masculine or feminine or whatever. All you really know is, are you being true to yourself? Is the energy that you're being in right now really benefiting you, or are you trying too hard? Are you conforming? Are you going outside of yourself? Or are you sitting in your own chair, being yourself, being in your nature, in your flow, your niche in the ecosystem of life? And this is really what I believe. I believe that every single one of us, is a unique niche and node in the ecosystem of life. And that we all, based on our life stories and everything and just our soul mission. We have a unique purpose here. And so the soul is our separation, our individuality, our soul mission. And all these different souls and beings interact with each other on the earth plane. And yet, simultaneously, we are all emanating from the one spirit, the oneness. We are that. We are oneness, and we are also our individual soul. And there's both things. And yeah, I really love talking about that. That was super great. I loved it. I want to do workshops about this. And now I need some water. And I even want to keep talking. And I want to refine this a bit more and like structure it. And especially when I was talking about the current system and the death cult and all that, I want to understand it so I can explain it well and succinctly. And yeah, just structure this in a way that really makes sense. And with timestamps, and then also shortened versions for, yeah, like I could do like a brief like overview, and then I can go deep dive in. And even in that, I can break it down into videos that are a series, like breaking it down into each phase. But it's hard to, because I will refer to the other phases. That's why workshops are really great, because you can make it like interactive, and so having a book about it is really great. All right, I will say goodbye for now. Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.